Hello all and welcome to The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics of the day right in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Haryanto, coming to you live from the Straits Times, and now we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to comment, share and like our video. Now while you are at it, also do subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button so that you'll be alerted to our videos. I'll have my newsroom colleagues joining me in our episode today to talk about the stories that got you talking today. Now first, our segment for today: 4 moneylenders, 4 loan sharks, and a $4,500 debt. Whew. Now this was the unfortunate situation a Filipino maid, Natalia, of course not her real name, was in. Now in a bid to clear her debts, she found herself in more debts, including those from loan sharks. Fortunately, Miss Natalia eventually received help to finance her debts in installments and of course having strong support from her employer. The trend of foreign borrowers who take loans has continued to rise. The number of work pass holders acting as guarantors has also surged. New measures have been announced to tackle this matter. Now to tell us more, I have journalist Tam May. Welcome, Tams.
Hello.
Now, Tams, this is your first time to the show. So, nervous? Okay?
Yeah, of course.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now, Tams, if you could take us through, right, can you briefly share with us what are the measures in place to tackle this rising number of foreign borrowers?
Okay, so there are about 4 or 5 measures in place. One of the biggest ones are tighter loan caps for foreigners who earn less than 10K a year. So these are normally the maids of foreign workers. So the amount has been tightened from $1,500 to $500.
Yeah.
And some of the new regulations include limits on the supply of loans. So moneylenders can't give foreigner loans beyond a certain amount.
Yeah.
And another thing they want to do is to stop targeted advertising. So sometimes you walk along the street and you see some licensed moneylender shops. Some of them say things like "domestic helpers welcome here." So this has to stop. So they're trying to stop that. And one of the other things is that loans can't be given out if the guarantor is a foreigner.
Okay.
Or if the loan is sort of brokered or facilitated by a third party that doesn't have the correct licenses to do so. And for the last measure to tackle unlicensed money lending, so like loan sharks, so there are penalties for foreigners who are found to have borrowed from loan sharks. So for them it could include getting their work pass cancelled, repatriation, being barred from further work in Singapore ever again.
Right. And Tams, earlier on also as we were speaking, you also mentioned that there have been complaints as well, right? For example, when employers get letters sent to their house asking for payment for loans, the maids took off visits from licensed money lenders. Can you tell us more about this?
Okay, so we have spoken to a lot of employers and even maids themselves who find themselves in this situation. So because when you take a loan and a maid or a foreign worker uses their work pass, the home address of the employer is actually on the work pass for maids especially. So this is quite concerning for employers, especially those with young children who the lender might turn up, or if it's a loan shark, they might turn up at the house. So since September last year, since 2013 to September last year, there were actually 460 police reports made against harassment by unlicensed money lenders. And all these reports were related to maids borrowing or acting as guarantors. So that's quite a big problem, I guess.
Of course, I mean, if let's say the maids are borrowing for whatever reasons and all that, I mean, we have to look at reasons. Of course, there are reasons that are legitimate as well. So in this situation, what if these maids, they have legitimate reasons for borrowing?
So I think we have to realize that maids too have the right to borrow, especially if there's family emergencies and they need quick cash back home. But it's very tricky when it comes to them living with their employers. So some of the reasons we found is that some of them will borrow for medical emergencies, some for children's educations, and some are for lifestyle needs as well. So I think we have to realize that these tightening measures have to come hand in hand with financial literacy courses, and you also have to help foreign workers or foreign domestic helpers understand the consequences of borrowing, and especially consequences of borrowing from a loan shark. And I think one big thing that with I mean, as the press and even as the industry players have tried to do, is to help people distinguish between licensed moneylenders and unlicensed moneylenders. And so we get all those texts on our phone. Those are definitely not licensed. You know, so don't reply. Don't
so got to be careful on that front as well. Now let's just go back to the case of Miss Natalia. Now she's fortunate to have the support of her employer. I am an employer of a foreign domestic worker as well. You know, and I want to be able to support my employee as much as I can. How and what are some of the ways that employers can do in this matter?
So I think one thing is maybe open communication about financial problems that the domestic helper is having back home. You know, so at least they can talk about it, and the employer knows about any emergencies or any need for money. And we know that realistically, not all employers can actually give them loans or give them advances. But I think having some communication about it, at least the employer knows what's going on, and that if there's a chance to borrow, how can the maid do it wisely as well?
Definitely. And there are some comments on line right now, of course, asking about about flight risk when maids borrow money and all that, which is why these measures are in place as well to kind of mitigate this flight risk as well.
Okay, so flight risk, I mean, having conversations with licensed money lenders, they said that it's actually up to the lender themselves to take up the loan. To lend money to the maid, because as long as you're a foreigner, there's always a flight risk. You know, but at the same time, there's a service that is needed, so it's up to the money lender, the licensed money lender, to decide if he's willing to take the risk. So I think the measures don't tackle the flight risk directly, but it's kind of there as well.
So at the end of the day, like what you said, of course, on one front is to really be to teach financial literacy to these employees, correct? To make sure that they know what they are in for when they take up loans from these licensed moneylenders, to kind of like know what is at stake. Right, that's on one front, and of course the other front is to get the support of employers as well. See how much the employees can help out first before resorting to these other measures, I suppose. Right. Once again, thank you so much, Thames. That wasn't that bad for your first time. Now, for more on the measures, you can visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Now on to our second segment, more on local news. Now, Singapore exports faced the biggest stumble in 6 years, fell by double digits for the fourth straight month, with shipments in the key electronics sector sinking by nearly a third. And analysts say a recovery in the second half of the year is now looking less likely. Typically, figures stabilize by the middle of the year, but instead further decline is seen, and the pace has also accelerated. A best case scenario is for the numbers to start to stabilize towards the fourth quarter. Now, to tell us more about the impact of these low exports, I have Assistant Business Editor Poon Chen Hui. Welcome, Chen Hui.
Hey, hi.
Now, Chen Hui, first up, tell us, what are some of the key exports that are not doing well here in Singapore?
So generally, Singapore exports a variety of electronic and non-electronic products. For the month of June, we see a falling demand for electronic products such as integrated circuits. These are microchips used in your phones, in computers. Also a fall in PCs, personal computers, as well as disk media. So these are like flash drives, hard disks. On the non-electronic front, many people may not know, but Singapore produces non-monetary gold, which can be in the form of gold bars, gold coins, ingots. We also registered a drop in petrochemicals, which are often used in plastics, furniture, and many other general merchandise. And finally, we also saw some drop in pharmaceutical products. So these are medicines or drug substances.
And Chen, tell us, what could be the reason or reasons for this stumble? Anything also that can be done to salvage the situation?
There are a number of possible factors that could have contributed to this. Of course, on top of everyone's minds would be the ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China, which probably have affected supply chains that Singapore is a part of. But there is also this down cycle of the global electronics cycle. So basically, demand for electronics go through like a cycle about a few years, ups and downs. And there's also China's slowing growth
okay.
And of course, this would affect Singapore because China is a
big market, right?
Yeah, export market for us.
As for what can be done, is there anything you reckon?
Well, it is pretty hard to say because policymakers could, look at introducing some fiscal measures.
Yeah.
Some experts have also pointed out that Singapore's monetary policy, and this refers to the managing of our exchange rate, could also be eased to sort of as a way to boost exports.
Right, and of course, with this, certainly, it is quite a worrying thing, right? That we are seeing very low exports, especially in the last.
And we had a bad GDP now.
And bad GDP as well, coupled with that as well. So what does this mean for the rest of the year? Especially possible impact on companies, workers, and even job opportunities in the coming months.
Well, almost across the board, I think analysts are saying that recovery is less likely.
Yeah.
Some have even gone ahead to downgrade the growth forecast for Singapore for the rest of the year. So our current growth forecast range of 1.5% to 2.5% is also currently being reviewed by the authorities.
Oh no.
So for the company side, perhaps some ways for them to sort of get out of the rut could be to really look at restructuring and also new areas of growth. So for example, Singapore is looking at some new areas like food manufacturing or agri-technology. On the worker side, there could be poorer sort of job prospects, but they could continue to retrain or reskill so that they still remain
relevant.
Yeah,
right,
correct.
Even
though the economy would change.
Job market into the job economy. All right, thank you so much, Chen Hui, for sharing a bit more on, this. It is a big concept, right? Exports, GDP. But thank you so much, for explaining as simply as you can, so that people can understand better, and certainly this affects all Singaporeans.
Yes, of course.
And as you have shown to us as well, even external factors like the US trade tensions between US and China also do affect Singapore as well.
Yes.
So for more stories on the Singapore exports and Singapore economy, you can visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Now moving on to sports. Exciting weekend for football fans here as a star-studded Singapore leg of the International Champions Cup or ICC kicks off. Manchester United take on Inter Milan in pre-season exhibition tournament on Saturday before Juventus and Tottenham Hotspur clash a day later. Now, unlike last year's edition, this year's ICC is packed with star power. We have Ronaldo, Harry Kane, David De Gea, Paul Pogba, and many more. Now, Inter Milan arrived yesterday, Spurs touched down this morning, and the others will arrive in the coming days. Now, to tell us more about this exciting tournament, I have correspondent Sazli Abdul Aziz. Welcome, Saz.
Yeah.
Nice to have you back again. Now, Saz, there was fanfare when Inter Milan arrived at JW Marriott yesterday. How was the scene like, the situation?
Well, I think it just goes to show Inter Milan and Spurs this morning, they both arrived in the morning around 8 or 9, they landed in Singapore. And yet, at the hotel, there were like 20, 30 fans. Some of them actually Ponteng school. Some of them took MC from work.
Right.
Let's hope they're not seen in photos.
Yeah. So for viewers who don't know what Ponteng is basically to skip.
Play truant lah.
Yes.
But basically it just shows how much of a buzz there is. The fans really want to turn out in numbers. Manchester United are scheduled to arrive in about an hour and a half. And since it's after work hours, I'm pretty sure there'll be a huge crowd.
You reckon? Where would that be? Would you know?
See, I'm not at liberty to share.
Okay.
But none of this info has been made public, I understand, and yet we saw fans at Inter Milan's and Spurs hotels.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure word has got round. And I'm sure there'll be a huge crowd at Man United's hotel as well.
Right. Well, and you can't reveal,
I think I better not lah.
Better not. Not even in which area of Singapore?
Well, it's central lah.
Central. Okay, we know that's central. Now, how highly anticipated is this edition of the ICC? Because everybody's just talking about it, right? It's a buzz.
It's the games are still a couple of days away, but I think speaking to fans and the people that I've met along the way, I think the big anticipation is over Cristiano Ronaldo, because when you talk about the world's best players of their generation, the Pele, Maradona, Messi, none of these players, especially in their prime or while they're still playing, have played in Singapore, and yet, we have a 5-time, Ballon d'Or winner, Ronaldo. He's going to grace the National Stadium. He's going to grace Kallang, and I think that's a huge deal. Yeah. So I'm personally also looking forward to it. Yeah.
Are you a Man U fan?
No, I'm not. But I'm really excited at seeing a player of Ronaldo's quality.
This is coming from an unbiased perspective, lah.
Yeah.
Now, how does this edition compare to the previous two ICCs?
I think in terms of firstly team composition, because Manchester United easily together with Liverpool are the Singapore's most beloved teams. So you have Man U there, you have Juventus with Ronaldo, you have Spurs who are also another Premier League team, and you have Inter Milan. So I think in terms of the team composition, it's a really attractive lineup for the fans, and also like you mentioned, this year it's packed with star power because last year the teams were affected by World Cup. For example, PSG, they didn't have Neymar, they didn't have Cavani, they didn't have Mbappe because of the World Cup. This year, a few of the players are missing as well because of the African Cup of Nations and the Copa America, but it's a very small number. So I think, like you said, the Ronaldos, the Harry Kanes, the Paul Pogbas, they're going to be in Singapore. And I think everyone's really, really excited. Yeah.
And apart from it being, of course, a match and all that, there are other fringe activities also happening. So what can fans expect in the coming days?
Aside from the two games which are, on paper they look really, really exciting. The players are also going to be turning up at a lot of public events. However, again, I don't think I'm at liberty to where. But all I can say is these events, and because they are private events, they are by invitation. But these, some of these are located
at public
areas, yes, in public spaces. So again, like I said, fans are really resourceful, and, especially when they want to see their idols. So I think even though an official announcement has not been made, I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot of fans, all over all these events over the weekend, I'm sure.
Probably taking a sneak peek and all that.
I'm sure. From far, taking pictures.
Taking pictures. And for yourself, you're going to be covering some of these matches as well?
I'll be covering both matches, and I'll be at a couple of the events as well.
Okay, so there you go. So if you want a update of the matches and everything that's happening with regard to the ICC this weekend, of course, follow www.straitstimes.com. We're going to have updates on our website and on our social media properties as well. Thank you once again, Sas, for coming onto the show to share with us about the exciting tournament that is going to happen this weekend. Now, of course, earlier on we had Tame who spoke to us about the new measures that have been in place to tackle foreign borrowers, and then we had, of course, our assistant business editor Chen Hui to tell us more about the low Singapore exports. In 6 years, in fact, we've seen the lowest in 6 years, and the impact on the economy as well as on workers, companies and job opportunities. And lastly, of course, we have Sas to tell us more about the ICC that is happening this weekend. So those are the stories of the day for today. For more news and videos, do log on to our website, that is www.straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Join us tomorrow same time for more stories on The Big Story.